The government shutdown has been officially averted. President Biden has now signed a funding bill passed by lawmakers on Capitol Hill just hours before the shutdown deadline at midnight. Facebook back on the hot seat. Congress pushing the social media giant on claims that they exploit children's mental health for financial gain. And the Department of Homeland Security is out with new guidelines. The new policy dictates that the fact that someone being illegal in the country isn't enough reason for arrest. Tune into Deep Dive as we explore these topics and more. Hello and welcome. This is Deep Dive and I'm Tiffany Meier. The government still running. President Biden has now signed a funding bill passed by lawmakers on Capitol Hill just hours before the shutdown deadline at midnight.
With this continued resolution, we not only keep government open, keep checks flowing to our veterans and Social Security recipients and the rest.
Hours away from the midnight deadline, Congress has passed a stopgap bill to keep the government open, funding federal agency through December 3rd, with Republicans on board in the Senate.
On government funding, what Republicans laid out all along was a clean, continuing resolution without the poison pill.
As the clock ticks, President Biden's larger and more ambitious domestic agenda remains in limbo. The Democratic-controlled House remains divided, with moderates and progressives in a standoff. Two moderate senators, Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, holding the key to passage.
The needs we have right now and what we can afford to do without basically changing our whole society to an entitlement mentality.
Senator Joe Manchin saying his top-line number is $1.5 trillion.
We're going to come to an agreement. I'm trying to make sure they understand. I'm at $1.5 trillion. I think $1.5 trillion does exactly the necessary things we need to do.
Another moderate, Senator Kyrsten Sinema, declined to say whether she agreed with Manchin's proposal. Her office says she shared her priorities, including dollar figures, with both the White House and the Senate Majority Leader, and claims that she hasn't done so are false. Biden's spending proposal would raise taxes on corporations and the wealthy. And after hours of negotiations, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi delayed a vote on a $1 trillion infrastructure bill Thursday night. She said there will be a vote on Friday, but it's unclear if that will actually happen. Democratic Caucus Chair Jeffries believes it will happen.
The Speaker has indicated that we're going to vote today. I expect to vote today. And I expect that the bill will pass today.
And staying in the nation's capital, Facebook is back in the hot seat. Congress pushing the social media giant on claims that they exploit children's mental health for financial gain. A Senate subcommittee held a hearing focused on social media and children's mental health.
Facebook has shown us, once again, that it is incapable of holding itself accountable.
With documents provided by a whistleblower, extensive reporting and research, lawmakers say they now have insight on Facebook's campaign to recruit and exploit young users.
Facebook has concealed research, studies, experts that show the harm that has been caused to children on its site, how it knew about that harm.
According to documents and surveys not released to the public, over 1/3 of teens felt they have a little control or no control at all over how Instagram makes them feel. Lawmakers say there is a teenage mental health crisis in the U.S.
Facebook researchers have concluded that teens, quote, have an addict's narrative about their use. Have an addict's narrative about their use. Another survey, also not disclosed publicly, found that, quote, over 1/3 of teens felt they have, quote, only a little control or no control at all over how Instagram makes them feel.
Facebook's global head of safety pushed back.
The research showed that many teens say that Instagram is helping them with hard issues that are so common to being a teen.
The social media giant says it has teams focused on protecting kids online.
We've built AI to identify suicide content on our platform and rapidly respond with resources. We've launched tools to help control time spent on our apps.
Some lawmakers want more action and believe the company cherry-picked parts of its own research to fit its own narrative.
You've lost the trust, and we do not trust you with influencing our children, with reading in to their minds. They also don't want Facebook collecting data on their children.
And one exchange went rather viral.
Will you commit to ending Finsta
Senator, again, let me explain. We don't actually do Finsta. What Finsta refers to is young people setting up accounts where they may want to have more privacy.
Finsta is one of your products or services. We're not talking here about Google or Apple. It's Facebook, correct?
Finsta is slang for a type of account.
Senator Blumenthal then tweeted out, "If trending can get more people interested in discussing Facebook's heinous wrongs, let's talk about it." This month, a whistleblower approached my office to provide reports, documents about Facebook and Instagram. What they reveal is damning. In terms of policy changes, several senators say they need to update the 1988 Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which governs how websites gather data about children. Davis promises her company will not retaliate against the whistleblower, but stops short of committing to wider immunity. The whistleblower will testify before the Senate next Tuesday. Now, let's turn to another area feeling the heat, the southern border. The Department of Homeland Security is out with new guidelines regarding who authorities should prioritize for immigration enforcement. This follows up on interim guidance released early in the Biden administration. The new policy dictates that the fact that someone being illegally in the country isn't enough reason for arrest. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas wrote in the memo, "The fact an individual is a removable non-citizen therefore should not alone be the basis of an enforcement action against them." He adds that an individualized approach will be used for each case, taking into account the totality of facts surrounding the case. The focus of the new guidance is national security, public safety, and border security. Top priorities for arrest and deportation will include terrorism suspects, criminals, and those who have recently crossed the border illegally. This comes as the U.S. sees record-setting levels of illegal immigration. Arrests at the U.S.-Mexico border soared over 200,000 in each of the last couple of months. And according to data, it's on track to set a new yearly record. That's after numbers spiked during the hot summer months, instead of following the typical trend line. Now for something different, an unseen world revealed in staggering detail. Take a look at amazing microscopic beauty that occurs when science and artistry collide. Mind-blowing images and video captured through microscopes prove it's not just a small world after all, but an amazing one. Since 1975, the Nikon Small World competition has been an annual showcase for a very unique brand of visual artists. One who spends most of their time peering into a world of the unseen. Photomicrographers the world over submit stunning works, and 2021's field of finalists represent micrography's delicate balance between clever artistry and scientific discipline.
You really have to have a very good understanding of the microscopes and how they form images to be able to really to put a lot of this stuff together.
First place winner Jason Kirk's image of the underside of a southern live oak leaf covered in white trichomes was a result not of one microscope shot, but literally hundreds.
They have a very shallow depth of focus, so what's in focus at any one given time is really, really narrow. So you have to take a couple hundred images in some cases and then kind of squish them together into one final image.
This layering technique is one of many, including color staining and strategic pinpoint lighting, used to achieve a desired visual effect. In some cases, imagers even prompt chemical reactions at a cellular level. It's this interspection between science and art that makes Nikon's annual competition and the inspired creators at its core so fascinating.
It brings these kind of worlds to the forefront to where people can see them, and you're able to see something that you pass by every single day and you don't even know it's there.
And now, before we end, a miracle. This dog survived a plane crash that killed a person and injured another in Arizona on September 22nd. Rescuers saw him, but he ran off before they could capture him. 3 days later, they returned to the site and saw him lying next to the wreckage. This time, they were able to lure the parched pooch with water and capture him. Rescuers say he was in remarkably good shape for a dog that had been in the wilderness for several days. They located his family nearby and reunited them. Well, what do you think? Let me know below. Thanks for tuning in to Deep Dive. I'm Tiffany Meier, and have a wonderful weekend.